Hey, it's Chris from the Felt Recoil podcast. And before we start the show, I want to tell you about enduringwarrior.org. That's the website for Operation Enduring Warrior. It is a 100% volunteer organization whose mission is to honor, empower, and motivate our nation's wounded veterans through a physical, mental, and emotional rehabilitation. Here's how that breaks down in the real world. I have seen these guys in action. It's really unbelievable. It's almost surreal. You're dealing with combat wounded veterans mainly, and you see a really rolling thunder of guys come across the hill, and they're dressed in gas masks and camouflage clothing. It'll take your breath away, and then they're competing in what is basically a Tough Mudder style event to raise awareness for their cause. Find more information about them at enduringwarrior.org, and ultimately, you'll be enabling the lives of wounded veterans to go in directions they might have thought were impossible up until now, but this organization is getting out there and helping them get on with life because they sacrificed so much for us. Felt Recoil podcast starts now.
This is Felt Recoil.
Great group of guys. I shot a gun for the first time with my wife, and it was amazing. Christopher Vermillion is a great guy.
Yes, he is.
He helped me not feel intimidated by it all. And he told me The Walking Dead ain't real, man. He said there's no way that Rick from The Walking Dead can shoot a gun and just hold that python like that. There's no way.
He's coming on the show, by the way. Confirmed.
I cannot wait.
You can finally find out how much exactly I paid my buddy Brian for those kind words during his Facebook Live session.
Don't you worry, I'll be asking him.
I know you will. Welcome to the Felt Recoil podcast. My name is Chris. To my right, my hetero life mate. What is your name again?
Patrick,
a.k.a. P-Mag or Patty or whatever you want to call him. I don't have any cool nicknames. My wife says, hey, you, or Fatty. So if you want to use those, you can.
Noted.
My wife just came in and laughed at us. A little behind-the-scenes action for you because we were just kind of chit-chatting. We want to say, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And as Adam Carolla likes to say, thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend. Thanks for spreading the good word. It's about exactly how he says it. Probably not. But we had a small milestone, and I think I should mention it.
Absolutely.
We've been doing this podcast now this is number 8.
Correct.
And we pay a company. We're not making money. We're just flushing it out, but that's okay. I'm only kidding. We don't care to make money with this. That's why at the beginning you heard me talking about Operation Enduring Warrior. So go to enduringwarrior.org and visit those guys. They're amazing. So I shouldn't have made the comment about money. Now I feel bad. The point is we pay a company a little bit of money, and they tell us who's downloading, where they're downloading from, and what they're using to download, because we want to stay on top of that. And we found out this past week we hit the 1,000 download mark. So we're very thankful for that, very grateful.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby for 5 weeks of sitting in the home office and trying to put something together. So hopefully it only keeps growing from there. And we thank you for, seriously, sharing with friends and telling other people. Okay? All right. I did want to start here. I found a new way. I don't know. Racism is a funny thing. And I get a lot of grief because
you're racist?
Was it 2 weeks ago? It just devolved into some rant. I do believe...
Apparently Chris is a slave owner now.
Well, here's the thing. When Brian is here, Brian is a beautiful black man, and he has been a very dear friend to me for many, many years, and I can't wait to have the conversation with him because he and I have very candid race conversations with each other, and I can't wait to kind of dive into that openly and discuss it because I do believe, and he'll probably have a different perspective, but I believe that America's black community can become one of the most flourishing and prominent communities, but I think right now they face bigger problems than most other ethnic groups. Okay? And so
I can't wait for him to punch you in the face.
See, that is your racism because you think he'll be violent because he's black, and I'm going to bring that up. Brian came to the gun store once, or a couple times now, but the first time he ever came to the gun store where I work, it was the greatest moment, I think, of my life. Now, I've seen all three of my kids be born. I cut the cord each time, but this, far superior. Somebody came back to the little area where I work, and he goes, hey, there's a guy out here asking for you. And I said, okay. And I was expecting him. I knew he was coming by that day. But he wasn't the first person. I thought, oh, it must be Brian. And I walk out, and there he is. And he's got both hands on the counter, and his eyes are wide, and his brow is up. He's just like frozen. And I go, what are you doing? And he goes, bunch of white guys with guns. My hands are right here. I make no sudden moves. And he's just like heads on a swivel. It was so stinking funny. So good. And that's, again, the voice you're hearing at the top there and that little thing I put together. But he's going to join us. And I want to talk to him about that. I want to kind of dive in. But racism is a funny thing because we tend to view racism as only a negative thing. Right, but I think
unless you're watching Blazing Saddles,
yes, with your dad,
then it's suddenly acceptable.
We will never remember. Yeah. If Mel Brooks is racist, totally acceptable. Kind of like how black people can use the N-word, but nobody else can. Moving right along. So I think I found a positive way in which I'm racist. I think I found that.
I'm all ears.
Okay. So I was getting Starbucks the other day, and God bless me, the nicest Starbucks I've ever been in just opened 2 miles down the road from my house. Literally, I can be there in a flash. So it has become my go-to, and I swing in a lot. Well, the first time I went, it was obviously like the first day they were open. They were literally putting out the now open signs because I thought, I wonder if they're open yet. And I pulled around, and sure enough, there's a dude putting out a now open sign. So I get up and I go in. And this really sweet Southern black lady helped me. How you doing, sugar? Blah, 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 that kind of stuff, right? Well, she called me sweetie. She kept calling me sweetie. So I went back a couple days ago, and I swing through the drive-thru. Welcome Starbucks and Taylor's. What can I get for you? Yeah, let me get my Americano. She's like, all right, sweetie, pull up to the window. Here's the thing. When like Southern white redneck women do that to me, I freaking hate it. It drives me crazy. You ever dealt with a chick that you don't know, like your waitress? It's the first time you're meeting this woman, and she's like, hey, sweetheart, what can I get you? And I'm like, I don't know you. Don't call me that. I don't know. Hey, babe. Okay, babe. You know how some women do that and they don't know you? It's just like their crutch phrase for any person they deal with. Hey, sweetheart. Hey, darling. Whatever.
I am from the South. I've experienced it.
I hate it. It
Are you
is
all
so
like
stupid.
I mean, do you just like stop them and you're like, hey, lady, check your privilege?
Yes. I like to constantly, I will say, quit flirting. Like, it's one of my favorite ways to approach it is I'll point at my wedding ring and go, oh, no, like that, you know? And they go, what? Like, they act confused as if they can't even remember the word they just used.
They probably don't.
But here's the thing.
It's so
second
natural,
nature.
yeah.
That's fair enough. What I did realize, though, is that I love it when the Southern black women do it because I find it to be such an endearing quality. And more so, I find it to be more genuine. For some reason, when this elderly black woman that works at my Starbucks does it, it feels so genuine that she's calling me sweetie. Like, I feel like she actually cares about me and wants to talk, which is weird because when I started crying, she's like, I didn't ask for any of this.
And we don't have any tissues here.
And then they said it was cancer. Sir, please just go. But when she did it, I recognized I like it when she does it. But every other woman drives me crazy. So that is my positive form of racism for the week. Because obviously, I only think about it because she's black.
You're just trying to offset the show from 2 weeks ago?
No. It's a very tongue-in-cheek way of saying how it's not really about race to me. It's just about the fact that woman's mannerisms and the way she is, it doesn't bother me. But 99% of the other people, it drives me batty. I can't stand it. But for her, for some reason, I'm okay with it. But it's not because she's black. But, you know, the way society would make you think is, well, it's only because she's black or only because she's white.
You're an odd duck, Vermillion.
I'm what?
I'm an odd duck.
I'm an odd duck? Well, you're here in your free time. So what does that say about you? All right. Listen, anything you are on, we are on. Felt Recoil Show. Search it out if you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook. Felt Recoil Show. On our Facebook feed right now and on Instagram is a screen cap of the news feed currently on my phone. And I want to say this on the record, write it down. CNN has never made me happier. I've never been more excited to read news from CNN than I am right now. Do you disagree or agree with that?
I'd say that's that wouldn't be hard to do. I mean, because I don't think CNN generally makes you real happy.
For the last 10 years of my life, almost, basically the last decade, they have constantly frustrated me. Yes, that is very true. But here we are, and I'm going to read it to you bottom to top, because that's, kind of like in the order in which you receive them, right?
These are the CNN app notifications that come to your phone.
Yes,
what
sir.
You're about to read to. Okay.
That's right.
Go for it.
I'll give you the timestamp on each one, too. 2:47 from CNN. Trump signs 2 executive actions on building a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border and stripping funding from sanctuary cities. 2:53. Mary Tyler Moore has died. 2:56. As President Trump calls for voter fraud probe, a CNN K-File review finds his Treasury pick, Stephen... Sorry, guy. I don't know your last name here. McNukin? Nukin, probably.
I believe it's pronounced Mnuchin.
Is it Mnuchin? Thanks, buddy. Stephen Mnuchin registered to vote in 2 states. 3:46. Trump says he wants to, quote, fight fire with fire to stop terrorism, suggesting he's open to bringing back torture because he, quote, absolutely believes it works. Then 4:05 p.m. from Fox News. CNN never updated this. Here's a Fox News from 4:05. Record close. Dow ends the day above 20K.
So CNN just didn't think that was newsworthy.
Yeah, not newsworthy. Doesn't hurt Trump in any way. But, obviously they're doing all this as a negative. And it occurs to me that we're going to talk the Women's March in a minute. We're going to try and figure out what the heck was actually happening there. But it occurs to me that half the problem here with people like CNN and the women who actually went and walked in the streets for God knows what reason is that they think everyone else believes what they believe. And as we've touched on before, if you disagree with them, you're the bigot, right?
Right.
And so there's no room for you in their world, because to disagree is to be the bigot. To disagree is to be the type of person who shouldn't be allowed to have a voice, who should be kept quiet in the corner, who should
Very
be
American of them.
Very, very. Right. I was reminding a friend on Facebook the other day. I thought this was great. He's talking about Bernie Sanders and how Bernie would have been a great alternative, and but we got Trump. Bernie, 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 and Trump is Hitler. Bernie, 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 and Trump is Hitler. And I said, you do understand that Bernie Sanders is a socialist. And you do know that Nazi is basically short for National Socialist Party. These are things you're currently aware of, correct? And then, of course, it was sidestepped with...
But facts do not matter, Mr. Vermillion.
Bernie isn't a Nazi, and that's socialism and communism aren't the same thing, and you don't understand what you're talking about, okay? So anyway, I say that to say CNN believes that we all think the way they think, or anybody that reads their news organization thinks the way they think, so that their outrage is justified. They don't have to report down the middle, honest to God news anymore. They don't have to be impartial, because they have set the tone that if you disagree, you're such a bad person that you're not worth being listened to. You should just totally be ignored, because, well, like I said, you're a bigot. You're the low end of the totem pole. You're scum of the earth type thing. So when I watch these women, if you have any idea what the Women's March was about outside of we hate Trump?
That's about all I could gather from it.
Was there anything else? Was there an agenda that was published that said otherwise? I mean, that's a sincere question. Was there something I missed where they said...
I would answer your question with a question.
Oh, okay.
Who organized it? And I legitimately have no idea. So my point is, I couldn't identify a cause or that they were trying to get behind because I don't know who was actually in charge of this thing, who set it up and pushed it forward.
I will tell you this.
It's a pretty large operation, obviously. I mean, it was all across the country in virtually every major city. I mean, Lindsay and I were watching it on TV, bouncing around the networks, and it seemed, I'll use the word disjointed.
Yeah.
They were capturing photos and video of a lot of people with signs. The signs were all over the map. I mean, anything you could think of, there was a sign there for it.
Vulgar, by the way.
Pretty vulgar. I've seen more creative signs at College Game Day, though. Let's be honest.
Oh, every time. Yeah.
So they were a little disappointing. We did see one that was.
I like that you phrased that like they were disappointing in a way. Like you and Lindsay sat down and you're like, the signs are our favorite part. So let's see. And then
I won't lie to you. I do like that about College Game Day.
No. I meant the Women's March.
Right.
Like you sat down for the
news.
No,
but I mean, they're showing all these signs, and you think eventually you're going to see something that you like, something that's funny, at least, right? But it doesn't ever happen.
I saw a photo of a kid in one of the marches holding a sign that said, "I love trains." And I thought, I'm going to do that one day. I will troll with my kids. We'll go out there and they'll have a, 4-year-old holding a sign that says, "I love Thomas the Tank."
You're just like yelling at the cameras. Right. He loves Thomas the Tank.
Right. Yeah. We march for Thomas.
To answer your question, no, I have no idea what it was about.
I'm completely lost. So if you want in on the joke, by the way, you can go to Facebook and look up. I thought this was fun. You can look up Sandwich Lives Matter. And so we started a page.
Wait, say that again?
Sandwich Lives Matter.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
We started a page, very tongue-in-cheek, based on the premise that for every one woman marching, 6 sandwiches did not get made. And it says that in the description of the page.
Not only is Chris racist,
he's also sexist. I'll get to that in a second. Remind me you called me racist and sexist. But the point is, if you want in on the joke, go give it a like, share it with your friends. We've come up with some pretty funny stuff. We're making a little, so far my favorite was the meatball sandwich that says, "Marching in the street doesn't feed a family of 4, but a meatball sandwich sure does." Sandwich Lives Matter.
Keeping it classy.
Right. Well, so did they, right? So I don't know exactly what it was about, but what's funny to me is that they get so much attention and then they march for nothing. Here's what they get that we'll never get. We will never get this. It's the exact opposite. Do you remember, God bless me for forgetting his name. I want to say Kenneth Gladney. I think it's Kenneth Gladney. Yeah, it's Kenneth Gladney. Do you remember that name?
I don't.
All right. Kenneth Gladney was the Black Tea Party supporter who was beaten up by a bunch of white Union thugs outside of a Tea Party event.
That never happened.
And it never got any press. If you remember, there was another Tea Party supporter who wore a rifle to a Tea Party event, and the media portrayed it as, look at these racist guys with their guns, and then there was a black guy, with the rifle slung around his back. But Kenneth Gladney was beaten and put in a wheelchair for weeks to get better by Union thugs for being at a Tea Party event. Nobody wants to talk about it because he was black. Nobody cares about him because he's not a black liberal. The media will care about you if you're a black liberal. They don't care about you if you're black conservative. You're an Uncle Tom. You're a traitor to the cause, blah, 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 blah. They get the exact opposite treatment. Meaning, we're not allowed to focus on Madonna and her comment where she wants to blow up the White House. We're not allowed to focus on Ashley Judd talking about her blood-stained, messy underpants or whatever that was, her erection or whatever that. Go watch the video and you tell me what she was talking about. She was trying to do spoken word poetry.
That's exactly what she was trying to do.
Failed miserably.
It was terrible.
And then B, she had written it, was trying to be very dramatic, and none of it worked, right? But we're told that that's the fringe element and they gloss over it. Well, that's not the meat, right? So we're here to talk to the women in the streets, not the people on stage who are screaming, "Let's kill people," literally and legitimately, not the people in the streets who are anarchists, literally, and are punching and attacking people. We just want to talk to the everyday woman in the crowd. And they talk to those women, and they literally have no idea why they're there. Like, Water's World had a segment where the girl literally had no idea why she was there. I listened to a podcast this week, and the host asked his female co-host what the Women's March was about, and she had no idea. She said, and I quote, it was about Trump and things he'd said in the past, and things like that, etc. Wait. No, she said it more like, it sounded like Excedrin. I should have written it out phonetically, but it was basically like etc. It's etc. etc. as the starting point. But either way, so
Noted.
So these are the people marching the street. They don't know what the etc. dot has meant for years on end.
We're going to start calling you the grammar Nazi.
Happily.
And then you'll fit right in with the cause, Vermillion.
That's me. I did get at a guy for making fun of Barron Trump this week on Facebook, and he said, LOL, lowercase I, would have never thought there would be somebody worse at high-fiving than Tom Brady. And I commented, you should probably get your grammar in check before you make fun of 10-year-old kids. And then his reply, no kidding, his reply, oh, because I didn't use punctuation. And then I just left. Yep. I just left it at that.
A lack of period.
That was
the last straw, buddy.
It was very similar to when everybody was they were dogging on the education secretary nominee, DeVos, I think her name is, or DeVos. As you can tell, just for clarification's sake, I tend to read most of my news. I've stopped watching television news because it really drives me crazy. So these crazy names, I need to do a better job of figuring out exactly how they are pronounced. But anyway, everybody's dogging her about lack of experience, and I come in and I go, I love that all these people who most likely supported Obama for both terms are now concerned about a lack of experience. And a guy said to me, he was a constitutional professor at Harvard. I think
Judges?
Yeah. I think that qualifies him.
I don't think, no, the judges are saying no.
I said, the fact that you believe that's a true statement entirely validates my point. Like, thank you for proving the point. A, he was never a constitutional law professor, and B, he never taught anything at Harvard, ever. So get over yourself. All right. So you look at these women in the streets who are crazy. These women are all absolutely out of their mind crazy. And they want us to only focus on whatever it is they say we have to focus on. We're not allowed to listen to the Madonnas and the Ashley Judds and the absolute crazy people who get up there and, like I said, threaten life and limb, who talk vulgar, profane ways in front of children, by the way. Like, I know I have 3 kids, but I think I can say I was always sensitive to the fact that if a kid is in the room, you behave a different way or you're just a terrible human being. Those are your 2 options. Behave in a decent manner so you're not poorly influencing a child, or you just suck at being alive and you should stop being alive. It's kind of the way I feel about it.
Could you tell us how you really feel about it?
I think I did.
Oh, okay.
I think I covered
just
it.
wanted to
Is there another way I could go about it?
Nah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Okay, good. I hate to leave anyone confused. So
you often do.
I know.
So I don't know. It's never bothered you before.
I'm so muddled in my opinions. And then again, the key here is that they get to have all of that. They get to be these horrible people, but then we're only allowed to discuss one sliver of the topic. And like you've pointed out, we don't know what it was. We don't know what we were there to discuss. I have no idea. Donald Trump had a woman run his campaign. Donald Trump is married to an immigrant. So the racism and the sexism arguments fall flat right there. So I don't understand why they were protesting.
Hasn't he actually said publicly that he actually has women run the bulk of his companies?
Yeah.
Because they're better at multitasking and organization and management in general.
That could be. I do remember him saying that the majority of his stuff was run by women.
That's not a direct quote, but I feel like I remember an interview where he said something to that effect.
I definitely remember him saying that the vast majority of his executives are females. Which brings up a funny side note. You understand that Donald Trump resigned from hundreds of entities when he got elected. Let that sink in for a minute. Like, how many things, if they said you're now the leader of the free world, how many things would you have to get rid of? Me? Nothing. I just step into the job and I'd be like, pretty sure they know I'm gone.
Chris, this podcast was going good, and turns out I can't do it anymore.
Oh, really? What happened?
I got elected president of the free world.
Right, but what really happened?
No, that's it. So I quit. See ya.
Like, is Free World the name of your glee club?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so obviously the guy's got some business acumen. And I don't think you get there by being extremely narrow-minded. I don't think you could be that successful in the business world and not be able to at least deal with people with whom you disagree. And I think that hopefully that combined with you don't become successful in business without developing the ability to delegate tasks to people you know are better at them than you might be. And those two things combined, I think that will make him a great president. Fantastic president. But
time will tell.
Hopefully, yeah. Time will tell. Again, full disclosure, I didn't vote for the guy. Okay. I'm not trying to give you a campaign pitch, but now he's the president. I think we have to figure out how to support him and how to hope things go as good for him as possible. We'll see.
I just hope he calms down on Twitter.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Like, who is that person? who's the consultant that's supposed to be like, listen, DJ, because he's Donald J. Trump, so I think he should be called DJ by his close friends. DJ.
You know he's not.
He should be if he's not. And
they call him the Deej.
What I like to imagine, he's actually like scratching records as the guy walks up. So he's doing that like cool guy lean where he's got one cuff under his shoulder, and the other cuff on his ear. And he's like, wicka, wicka, ah, ah, wicka, wicka, ah, ah. But then his free hand, he's tweeting like back at Putin. And they're like, hey, DJ. He's like, what? And they're like, hey, man, you should probably chill on that Twitter. He's like, why don't you chill on not being cool? Wicka, wicka. But who is that? There should be somebody that just takes his phone away. Just put him on a hiatus for a little while. I kind of like it, though. That's why I liked him. I liked him entering. I was sitting in my parents' living room, and I remember my mom and dad saying, what does everybody think about Donald Trump? Like, what are the chances here? He had officially entered the race. And I said, I don't think he's got a chance. But I love the fact that he's not beholden to anybody, and he's just going to do his thing.
I get it. I mean, he's doing it, to sort of work his way around the media.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Right.
I mean, as far as I can tell.
But what else is there to do? If you really think of it that way, like, okay, you have hundreds of successful businesses.
If I had that much money,
right,
I could think of a million things to do.
But, sure. But, I mean more like,
today I'm going to fill my swimming pool up with jelly beans. Like stuff like that. That's what I would do if I had his money.
And I'm going to eat it. I can understand that. That's probably why you don't have his money and why I won't either.
You're probably right.
Because we probably get, $1,000 into the savings account. And I go, okay, I can't do a full swimming pool, but I can,
maybe a hot tub.
Yeah, I can do this little blue plastic pool. And the wife comes home, what are you guys doing? And, I got the kids. I'm throwing them in a pool full of jelly beans. I'm like, when else I can be able to do this?
I blew all the savings. But look at all these jelly beans.
If you're a dedicated, lifelong businessman who has had very good success, a few obvious and very public failures, but you've had really good success, you've conquered everything there is in the business world, what's next? Why not? I mean, legitimately, if you thought the chance was there and you could fund it, you would run a presidential campaign because he probably looks at the country as a business entity. The rest of us tend to look at it like, well, it's a political force.
I'd say that's a pretty fair assessment considering one of the first things he did was put a freeze on federal hiring.
Mm-hmm. And they're all mad. Did you see he froze the EPA and basically every other agency? If you're an employee, you're not allowed to post department business on social media. So the EPA right now can't post on Facebook. Their employees can't post about the EPA on their Facebook or any other social media. And everybody's up in arms. Oh, this is communist censorship, and they can't tell us about the environment. although most other presidents have done this during the transition period, he's done it to more agencies than anybody else. But again, if you have a new boss, I can understand that. Like when I worked in radio, you'd get a new program director. That's just one dude in a chain, and everybody would freeze. Like, okay, what should I do? Well, I better be on my best behavior. So I think the government employees are up in arms because, well, they're so used to being coddled, and your job security isn't something you worry about. You ever been to the DMV? Right? Those people are not worried about job security because they're not going to get fired. They're going to do whatever they want.
You mean those fine public servants?
No, I meant DMV employees.
Oh, okay.
DMV employees.
I gotcha.
Was that
different thing? Yeah.
Sort of what you were thinking?
It's not the same thing.
Right. So anyway, all that to say, I think they're not used to it, and he's shaking it up, and I like that much about him. So if you have any idea what the Women's March was about, I'd love to hear it, but I don't know. And I think it's a great example, again, of the hypocrisy of the left. And that, so far for me, has been the greatest part of this Trump thing, is the hypocrisy is on full display, and now they just don't care. They don't care that we recognize that they treated the Tea Party one way, where every outlier, anybody who showed up, people who, by the way, we now know were planted by far left organizations to show up with KKK and Confederate flag signs and act a fool just so the liberal media could get it on tape. They cared about that then, but they don't care about it now. And it's very obvious, and we get it and we know about it. And I say don't let it go. But I think it ties into a greater point I would make about all this. The Women's March. And I made this, by the way, point before everybody started accusing me of being a racist, about social media involving race relations. We have to get out of this business of everybody believing everything they see on social media. I'm not really sure how it got as bad as it is. I get the memes with George Washington, it'll look like a quote that he said, and it'll say something like, if it's on Facebook, it is probably true, George Washington type thing. I get the humor in that. But to me, that was always like when you would see, Virgin Atlantic says they will land a man on the moon by March. And he'd go, yeah, it's obviously not true. But somebody would spread around and go, hey, look, they're going to put somebody on. And you go, no.
Do you remember when the things are going around social media where they're saying it'd be like a picture of a guy putting gas out of a gas can in his car. It'll say something like, if you add a cup of sugar to your gas tank, you can increase your gas mileage threefold.
Yeah.
Remember all that?
Purposefully trolling in a way, yeah.
Right.
Misinformation.
Purposely misinforming people to their own detriment because of their ignorance, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that is a direct result of people being able to just buy into everything they see. The first thing that pops up, they go, it's here. It must be right. My best friend just posted it, so, I trust him.
And, it's interesting because you're exactly right. There used to be a vetting process, and that was called talking. And we got beyond that somehow. And so my point about the Women's March is that it's a manufactured oppression. There is no oppression of women in the United States. There's really no racism or sexism from Donald Trump that I've seen. And let me address something. Trump, in his comment about how he could treat women because he was famous, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting to me about that is, are they mad that he made the comment, or are they mad that it's true? Is anybody upset at Kate Hudson for basically launching her career by playing a woman who would sleep with anybody who was famous? Is anybody mad about that? Is anybody mad about the fact that it's absolutely a thing that if you gain any sort of notoriety, you can pretty much pick the girl you want to take home? Are they mad at those women, or are they mad at those men? Who should they be mad at? Well, they should be mad at the women, right? There should be a fight to shift the culture where what Donald Trump said was so untrue and so noticeably untrue that people would find it even more absurd. But the fact is, we know it's not, because we know those type of women exist. So if you want to march against somebody, quite frankly, why not march against the whores of the world and make sure that they stop whoring it up every chance they get and giving women that reputation? Just like we talk about the peaceful Muslims need to get out, or black people need to take back the people that are on their TVs and conveying the message of Black America. Like, black people need to be angry at Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, Mark Lamont Hill. What's that other dude's name that always wears the scarf? Gosh, I was looking at him today. He's speaking somewhere, and I thought about going and throwing an egg at him.
You won't do it.
I won't. He's too far away. I can see him. He wears
Plus, you throw like a girl.
He wears the small. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't mean like that?
No, I didn't mean
like he's
that.
in a different town.
I mean, he's states and states away. It was Ohio. What was that? I was looking at a university's Twitter feed in Ohio, and they were announcing he was coming. It's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, I'll remember later. But the black community needs to get those people out of the public sphere. And if women want to march against somebody, why not march against the women that give you such a bad reputation? If you're mad at Donald Trump for sexism because he made that comment, and not to say the comment wasn't bad. The comment was bad. It was stupid. Even if it was locker room talk, again, that's why I didn't play sports. I don't get down with that kind of attitude. It's weird to me. But really, I don't think he's where you should be mad. I think you deserve a little bit more to be frustrated with the women.
Culture that surrounds it?
Yeah,
Is that sort of what you're saying?
Well, absolutely. And that's what... Name a famous actress who's never gotten naked on film. Right. Okay. And so there is your culture. Your culture is you better be willing to do whatever it takes to move up the ladder, or you won't move up the ladder. And then they want to be mad because somebody's on tape. He's going, when you're famous, you just do whatever you want, and they will do it.
Maybe be mad at the
your
Paris Hiltons
friends.
and the Kardashians of the world.
Yeah.
That plant sex tapes in order to gain fame and fortune.
So when you manufacture your own oppression and you say to yourself, I've got it so rough because A, Leah Dunham tells me so, or B, Al Sharpton tells me so. Well, you're wrong. You're wrong. You have believed what you've been told via social media and the mainstream media, and you're wrong. But there used to be this thing where you would sit in circles and talk about things with your friends, and someone in the group would speak up. An example would be, I don't even know, that's relatively pertinent to this, but since I had this conversation with a guy today, I'll tell you this. I remember a lady in my mom's house once making a comment about how private schools were good because there weren't any drugs in private schools. Right. And I was like, and I was, we were in private schools our whole lives.
You were sitting on the couch high as a kite.
No, but I said, it's actually not true. The first place I saw weed was in the snack shop at school. And I named a name. It was this kid that had it. Oh, and by the way, his dad was a teacher there. So,
of course, it was in the snack shop.
Right. Well, yeah, we were all getting Cheetos. But it was more like, it's more like, I draw that parallel of, so if you're in a room with people and somebody says that, back in the day, it would be, well, no, actually, somebody was willing to say that's just not true. Or you would leave the conversation and you go, I wonder if that's true. I want to find out if that's true. Nowadays, like you said, because somebody you trust makes it 1 degree of separation and puts it on Facebook, suddenly we're willing to buy into it.
What you're saying is the conversation was a challenge to an idea.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And not necessarily that challenge was true, but what it does is it challenges your thought process.
Yeah.
So it can be a two-way street. And when you see memes and all this other crap on Facebook or wherever, if you wanted to challenge that, you post a little comment, and then what happens?
Right.
You get eaten alive by
everybody shows up.
The frenzy of morons that can't spell or punctuate.
Mm-hmm. And nobody's there to get their opinion changed, right? Like nobody there.
No, they're right.
Yeah, they are right.
You're wrong. I'm right.
You're
the
right.
end.
Wait, you're wrong. I'm right.
Wait. One for you, one for me. 1, 2 for me, 1 for you.
Got it. I'm in. What? Yes. Nobody on social media is there to try and gain a new perspective. They're all there to show how smart they are, and that's a very, very dangerous thing. There's no deadlier combination than the arrogance of ignorance. Like if you've fallen into that trap, I'm so smart, but I've never really learned anything, then you are part of what is desperately, desperately wrong. And, I think the Women's March displayed all of that in spades, as it were. All right, question. Are you going to put your name on a petition to... now, there's 2 petitions out there right now that I think a lot of Trump supporters and a lot of our friends would both be excited about. Number 1, there's one out there to abolish the ATF. And number 2, there's one out there to repeal the NFA. So I'm going to ask you, Patrick, if you can only have one, you can abolish the ATF or you can repeal the National Firearms Act. And if you don't know, the National Firearms Act is what regulates... Is it all gun sales? I wanted to say that, but that seemed too broad.
No.
It's definitely all class 3 items, your full autos, your short-barreled rifles, your suppressors, things like that. We call them class 3 items, and that is because of the NFA. Well, you could probably explain that a little bit more and then tell me what your answer would be.
Yeah, the NFA was made law in 1934, and it was basically an attempt to quell mob and gangster violence of the day. So what they were basically trying to do was outlaw your machine guns, things of that nature. And in the process, they lumped in things like sawn-off shotguns, destructive devices that would fall in the category of like grenades, for example, and silencers.
Important side note. Hiram Maxim was the original patent holder, I believe, on the silencer, which he called it a silencer, by the way. If you ever get in a gun shop and the guy's like, not a silencer, it's a suppressor, or the guy's like, they're not suppressors, they're silencers, they're whatever you want, because the guy that invented them called them silencers. Moving on.
He also invented the muffler on your car,
which is where he went after the NFA was passed, because they were going essentially after his invention.
Right.
And sorry to take over here, but also worth noting the $200 fee that you pay today, it was $200 then as well.
It's never changed.
So imagine, just for inflation, $200 back in the 30s. I mean, come on, that's an ungodly amount of money. It's like $3,000 today.
I think it's closer to like $5,000.
$5,000
would be in today's money.
All right. So anyway, I think that's kind of some important context, but whatever.
So if I had to pick one, that's a tough one because they both suck.
Right.
That's the nicest way I could say it.
No, that's true.
Double-edged sword on the ATF thing. And what I mean by that is they exist purely for themselves, in my opinion.
Well, I'm sorry. If we didn't say the ATF is a government agency.
Right.
Okay, so...
For clarity.
So they do exist for themselves. Well, I just thought that was self-evident.
It is.
You're right. Okay.
I was clarifying, but now that you've clarified my clarification, I think we can move on.
The government, I don't know if you know this, the government, I hate. Everything about it.
We got it.
Okay.
This show is slowly becoming all the things Chris hates.
Yeah.
Women, black people, the government, me.
Name change or new show, all the things Chris hates.
We'll put it into consideration. So the ATF, because it is a bureaucracy, suddenly manufactures what is the law.
Right.
And if you want a somewhat recent example, the SIG brace would be just that. So, they made up their mind and said yes, and then they changed their mind and said no, and then they said, well, we're not really sure, but we're putting it under consideration. And I couldn't tell you what it is now. I have no idea what the ruling is at this point.
So for clarity's sake, the SIG brace came out, and you can build an AR pistol, okay? And you put a specific, what's called a buffer tube on the back of that, and you're not allowed to press it against your shoulder. Easy way to explain it, right? So SIG came out with this thing that was a brace, and the idea was, it looks just like a stock that you would put against your shoulder, but it has a little strap and a little cut, and basically you wrap it around your forearm, and you brace it, and you shoot it that way. Well, everybody and their mother was buying them and shouldering them. And so there was clarification asked for from the ATF. And the ATF said, yeah, fine, shoulder them. So you're selling all these and you're going, you can shoulder them? No, it's totally illegal to shoulder them. Then the ATF got one letter too many and they're like, fine, we're tired of hearing about it. No, you can't shoulder them.
We had people calling them up and writing letters saying, how is this legal? Well, so people were sort of biting the hands that fed them. I guess is the best way I could describe that.
Because people are stupid.
Right.
To a large degree.
They already told you it's okay. Shut your mouth.
Right.
Move on.
Right. Yeah.
Don't let them think about it too hard. So what ended up happening was they overturned it. Like I said, I couldn't tell you what it is now. So that's just one small example of the type of crap that the ATF pulls. I think if the ATF were to be abolished, what would happen is they would dissolve, but they would become part of the FBI. And I don't know that that solves anything, because then I think you have a firearms legal bureaucracy division now inside the FBI. That's going to be a really strange acronym, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm getting at.
Fab feet. No, not working. Yeah. But, FBI is already the people governing background checks. So they're already in the business of guns. So why not a little bit more?
I'm just saying, I don't see how it fixes anything.
Okay. All right.
I don't disagree.
Fair enough. That's not the argument at hand, I guess. So, yeah. So you're not sure on the ATF. You're kind of on the fence, or are you saying you would abolish the ATF and not worry about the NFA?
It's really hard. And now I'm going to tell you why I think abolishing the NFA would be bad. Or maybe not bad, but not the best idea in the world.
Okay. Because you don't believe in my Second Amendment.
Right. Neither one of them. Neither one of your Second Amendments.
I got my Second Amendment.
You work in a gun store, as do I.
Right. Which, real quick, I'll fill you in. That's where that came from. We had a guy who once yell at me and Patrick in the gun store about his Second Amendments. So you should probably know, so it doesn't sound like we're totally stupid. But that's always been funny to us. Because when he left, I was like, do you think he knows there's only one?
I thought maybe he thought there were only 2 amendments. I don't know.
They were both about
Very
guns.
Weird, yeah.
So, yes, we work in a gun store.
So imagine your average customer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say they're stupid. That's not, because I don't think that's fair.
Right.
Most of them are somewhat ignorant when it comes to guns. Most of them are not situationally aware. I'm trying to find nice ways to make this point. I don't know that I trust these people with machine guns that are readily available. Mm-hmm. So that would be my only hang up with the NFA is, and I don't mean, it's hard for me to describe because I'm really torn on it. It's one of those things where you can still buy a full auto. Okay. It's weird for me to say this. The regulations that are in place keep those ignorant people from possessing them, typically.
Sure.
Because it is a substantial amount of money to invest and time to invest to get to have one. So if you look through the history of the NFA, I think, and again, could be wrong on this, I think there's only been 2 instances where an NFA regulated item was used in the commission of a crime that was acquired legally.
Right.
Since 1930. So that's saying a lot. That's a long time.
Yeah.
To not have people who have bought and possessed a silencer or a short barrel shotgun or short barrel rifle or machine gun, etc., and use that in commission of a crime. I don't know that would stay the same if the NFA were overturned and machine guns suddenly become readily available in every jackwagon, with a shed in his backyard that can go to the gun show and buy the parts to make his AR full auto. I just don't see that being. There can't be a happy outcome there.
Right. Yeah.
There are people that I trust with machine guns. Most of the general public that I run into, I don't. That's sure. The only way I can put that.
Fair enough. Well, there's a video. If you go to facebook.com/Felt Recoil Show or find us on Instagram, there's a video of a kid shooting a full auto out of the back of a truck. I say a kid. Looks like a grown man. loses control and shoots up the side of the truck. So there are those people that will hurt themselves or destroy property. So I understand your point.
That's really the basis of my point. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure a lot more damage can be done in terms of some type of mass shooting with that sort of weaponry than, say, your standard semi-automatic. So there's that. So yeah, I mean that's why I'm torn.
You still haven't answered. I just want to remind you.
No, I'm batting it around still.
All right, I'll give you my answer, and then maybe by the time I'm done explaining, which will be about an hour, you'll be able to. Actually, no, it's going to be really short. I would abolish the ATF, and I would let another government agency swallow them up. But I would eliminate half the workforce and save us all that money. That would be awesome. Okay, because I believe. Very similar to the way you do, and I'm saying that the NFA could be modified through rigorous debate and legislation that would find us a happier medium. I think silencers need to come off. I'm actually okay with burst fire if you can do 3-round bursts and stuff like that. I don't understand why short-barreled rifles are on there. I just don't get it. Cans and SBRs need to come off immediately. Everything else we can discuss. Do I think anybody and everybody needs to be able to walk in and buy a fully automatic machine gun? I don't know, because I'll tell you this. I don't think the state should possess any rights that the people don't.
Exactly. So, which is why I'm torn.
Yeah. Just like we talked about with the cop from Massachusetts. Well, you can ship it to me because I'm a cop. And I just want to be like, no, take a hike. I can't and I won't. And really I won't because of that attitude. Like, so you're an agent of the state, so you have more rights than I do? No, that should never, ever, 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 ever be the case. So, I get a little bit like, well, the state can have it. I should be allowed to have it, but should I be allowed to have a tank?
And to your point, the state does get to circumvent the NFA for the most part.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, I mean, that just makes it...
Come on, man. Rules don't apply to them.
Right.
Come on, man. Insider trading. Congress, look it up.
I'm going to side with you on this.
Okay.
For both of our reasonings.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't see the ATF actually solving anything. Maybe it saves a little bit of money. I don't know.
Right.
That's a stretch for me. But I think that I'd be comfortable with that.
Okay, I'm with you. Man.
Look, and keep in mind too, real quick point.
Yeah. Good.
Most people, if they could afford a machine gun, can't afford to feed it.
Right.
So if you're going to have one and shoot it as a habit, you got to have some seriously deep pockets. Because you can burn through some serious coin really quick.
That is true. I mean, you're talking $1 a round and you're going to shoot 60 rounds in a minute. And that's a pretty expensive habit there.
Potentially, yeah.
I just had a flashback of a show I watched once where they all went out and shot full autos as like a work thing. And I remember thinking, man, that's got to be super expensive. I wish I could remember. I can't remember which show it was. All right, anyway. I'm going to tease what's coming up with Felt Recoil. And I want to make one last point before we say goodbye. We got a lot of fun people lined up. As I said, my buddy Brian, who's a radio DJ, is going to join us. Okay. We got a guy named Paul who is kind of in the gun industry. He went to SHOT Show. He's going to give us a SHOT Show recap, but he works with gun companies on their websites, actually like helping maintain inventory. And when you buy something and the company needs to know that they're -1, he does that kind of work. It's really intriguing, but it's way over my head. So we're going to bring him in. He's going to explain all that. Then we have a gentleman who was a former U.S. Army scout sniper, like legit, not the guy you meet who's like, yeah, qualified sharpshooter. No. This dude did the work. He's going to come sit down and join us. But we're always open to ideas. We're trying to get a couple other guys who are really cool. I'll say this name because, you know what, let's mount a campaign. I want to share a story real fast. So Ellison Kiyomaka is an artist who I believe he is also a professional golfer.
That's correct.
All right. So he's really good friends with a lot of high-end industry people, and he paints really cool pictures. And in fact, I have a limited edition Kiyomaka art piece in my office that I'm looking at right now that Ellison Kiyomaka and Travis Haley signed. It is number 19 of 300 that will ever exist. I'm very proud to have it. Put it in a nice frame. So I don't remember. Oh, so Keomaka, and that's KEOMAKA.com. If you want to see his website, Keomaka, KEOMAKA.com. He released some t-shirts. I bought 2 of them, and I screen capped my receipt from PayPal, and I basically tried to pay him a compliment. Well, he came back and was like, thanks for the compliment, appreciate it, I'm going to repay the favor. And then I said, yeah, well, come on the show. And if you go to Instagram and look up Felt Recoil Show, you can still see that conversation thread. He said he's in, and I say we mount a grassroots campaign. And if you're on Instagram and you'll remind Keomaka that he said it, hey, I'm listening to the Felt Recoil podcast. Can't wait to hear your interview. You are going, right? Hint, 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 something like that.
We have the technology.
Be really nice to the guy. Yeah, we can take phone calls. We'll have him phone in. We'd love to talk to him. That's one of the big fish we're looking to get onto the show, because he really does some really cool work. He knows all the cool guys in the industry, and I would like to get him. All that to say, if you know of somebody, we want to be real clear. We're not trying to just interview industry people. We want to interview everybody from all walks of life. If they are an influencer and a difference maker, and they're motivated and they can bring knowledge that we don't have to this show and share it with us, we'd be glad to have them. So you can email us, feltrecoilshow@gmail.com, or again, on any of the socials, we are there, Felt Recoil Show. One last thing, and then we'll get out of your hair. Ringling Brothers announced after, 140-something years, they're calling it quits. And it made me wonder, haven't we had enough of the circus? Because the only reason, tell me if I'm wrong, the only reason I go to the circus is to see if somebody falls. I don't think I really go for any other reason.
You just go to Walmart for that.
What, like on the floor?
I don't know. I feel like that's a place where people fall down a lot.
No, I meant like off the high wire. Like I go and you watch all this stuff. Like I
know what you mean.
Is there
But tell me if you're at Walmart and you see some guy fall down, it's not funny.
Of course, yeah, that's always funny. Public falls are one of the funniest things that are possible. But when I saw it and all these people are sad or all these people are happy and they all worry about the animals, first of all right, maybe the animal gets spanked every now and then. But if you're an animal, is there an easier life? Right? Because I have this theory, by the way.
I don't know. There's always the zoo.
There's always the zoo. Is super easy. But you're being fed and pampered, and if you live out in the wild, you're having to fight and hopefully not die for your food every day. The circus has a vested interest in you surviving. You have to survive so that they make money.
Like you got Carl the tiger, and he's mad at Tom. He's like, well, I mean, Tom's living the life over there in the zoo. They just throw a steak out there for him. I gotta do the song and dance routine.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So the Tigers feel like they should march on DC for equal treatment?
Well, yeah.
Equal pay for equal work?
Absolutely.
I have this theory that I think plays into the people that hate the circus because of the way they treat animals. There's a great analogy for explaining how women and men approach everything in life differently. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. But men and women...
If you don't believe that, hang out at Chris's house for a little while.
Right. Find any guy in a long-term relationship who's been there a while, and they'll have stories. And the women will have stories of the same. Like, yeah, tell him this, and he does this. And I'm like, why would you do that? But here's how it is. If a man and a woman are in the same car and they spot a stray dog, the man looks at the dog with envy, and the woman looks at the dog with pity. And the woman thinks we need to stop, grab the dog, and take him home, and then we need to give him structure and discipline. And the man looks at the dog and thinks that guy gets to sleep when he wants, pee and poop wherever he wants, eat whatever he wants whenever he wants, and just find a place and take a nap.
Deep thoughts.
I'm telling you. That summarizes the way we approach everything, because the dog is any other situation in life. It's just polar opposite views of the exact same thing. The stray dog lives the life of adventure and the, laissez-faire, take every day as it comes lifestyle. And the woman sees that and says, nope, got to stop. You need to eat at this hour, exactly this amount, and be in bed no later than this time. And the men see it and they go, man, that just seems like adventure. But with good intentions on both sides, right? Like, not that women are trying to be domineering, I'm not saying that, but women prefer the structure and the routines, and men are more fly by the seat of your pants. If you can get away with just doing whatever for a few days,
Chris is just like riding down the road and he sees a dog and he's like, oh yeah, my 20s.
Yeah, right? Oh, you lucky bastard. Legitimately, because...
Right.
All right.
Can I say something about the circus?
Please do.
I know everybody's up in arms over the animals, and that is the reason that they've given that they're shutting it down.
Oh, yeah?
I have an alternate theory.
What is it?
Clowns.
Because the phobia is growing, or
because
what?
Clowns suck.
Okay.
They're not entertaining. They're just weird and creepy.
Okay.
When I guess maybe long ago, before we had all these outlets for entertainment that we have now,
right,
a clown was probably pretty solid stuff, right?
Sure, I guess. I don't know. What there?
I'm just saying, it's just a theory,
right? Yeah.
But at some point,
no, I think you're exactly right, because I don't know when people were ever like, "Oh my god, a clown!" Everybody, shh, clown, go clown, do clown things. Like, no, I don't know. What would be the genesis of the clown? Like, when did that ever start where somebody's like, tell you what, here's what we're going to do. This is going to sound crazy. But basically, we're going to paint our faces white, maybe like red dots on our cheeks, okay? Get some crazy hair wig thing going. I'll juggle. You honk this little horn, this air horn.
And then pop out
goes
at
on
an
a bike.
apartment complex in Greenville and scare some children.
Right. Those people will die.
I'm not even concerned with the genesis. That would be probably interesting to know.
Right.
I'm more concerned with when did they cross the threshold from legitimately entertaining to creepy?
I blame Stephen King.
What is that, like 1974? Like, I mean, you're going to tell me that clowns have been around for however, hundreds of years probably, and now all of a sudden in 1974 is like, well, all of a sudden they're scary.
You
Thanks
don't know,
a lot, Stephen King.
You don't know when the first clown ever existed. Why are you throwing out numbers like they've been around for 100 years? Let's do here.
So I listen to other shows, and that's what they do. So I just thought, why not?
Tell you what, I'm going to do a Google search. Who was the first clown? Oh, look at that. Clownbluey.co.uk. History of clowns. Get ready for this, Yulon. You're about to have your mind blown. The history of this is great. The history of clowns is a vast subject, and one could write a book about it if one had time. Nobody would read it.
Too busy juggling, though.
Nobody would read it.
No time to write.
All right, so where did clowns originate from? Oh my God, the grammar. Right through ancient history, there have... Seriously? All right. Right through ancient history, there have always been... I don't know if we can believe this article, just FYI. It's so bad. All right, blah, 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 great deeds. Ancient Egypt 5,000 years ago. Yeah. Ancient Rome had several different types of clowns, it says.
I was thinking it has some origins in the court jester.
Yeah, that's the pictures we're seeing here. A lot of court jesters here. And
that guy looked kind of like Robin from Batman.
I want to see. All right, here's modern clown. Joseph Joey Grimaldi wearing original costume, which sent up dandies of the time. That looks to be something like
I don't know what that means.
I think that's something that goes around your name or your neck, excuse me. Oh boy, it gets so good. In 1778, there was born a man who, by his own personality, skill, and sheer hard work. You know what this sounds like? You ever watch Modern Family? And the heavyset guy who's so funny. But there's two gay characters, and he plays the husband of the other one, but he's a clown.
I'm going to be real honest and tell you I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't watch Modern Family?
No, sir, I do not.
What? All right.
I'm too busy defending my family from clowns. Okay?
All right. Okay. I can't remember. Cam. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. It took me a second.
Couldn't tell if you're having a seizure or...
So Cam on Modern Family is a clown, and he takes it very, very, very seriously. He calls it an art form and all this.
No, but see, that's sort of my point, is that these guys all do take it very seriously.
Right, but it's hilarious the way he does it.
I don't think that's a caricature just out of the blue.
Well, this proves your point. Because if Cam were to fictitiously write a website and they had an episode about it, this is how it would sound. In 1778, there was born a man who, by his own personality, skill, and sheer hard work, was to snatch the harlequinade away from the harlequin and hand it firmly to the clown. I don't know what that is. The man was Joseph Grimaldi, and even today, all clowns are nicknamed Joeys in honor of Grimaldi. I thought those were baby kangaroos or Joeys. Whatever. What do I know?
I'm already so lost it doesn't matter.
Check this out. He it was who first did away with the pantomime mask and wore makeup, a practice soon seized upon and copied by his contemporaries. So there's your first clown.
Is this website in the King James version? Is that why
1778. It is a UK website. Clown.
He who art thou clown
Look, Clown Bluey.
shall liveth the humorous life.
Clown Bluey. Laughter is God's sunshine.
Amen to that. No, absolutely not.
Why not? Why are you saying me? There
That
he is.
guy's creepy
That's
as hell.
him right there, Clown Bluey. Clown Bluey. Do clowns bother you?
I don't get it. It's not, I'm not like,
they bother you, or you just don't get it.
I don't.
Like, I don't get dancing. Okay, like you'll never find me dancing
You're
because
the whitest guy I know, Chris.
I
We
know.
get it.
Well, not only because of my racism, but also A, my inability, but B, when I watch people dance, I don't get it. I don't get how it's leisurely. I don't get how it's artistic. I don't get anything about it. You're flailing.
Chris is like, that seems like a lot of work.
Right, it sure does. I'm not doing that. So I don't. My point is, I don't get dancing, but I don't hate it. I just don't get it.
But they're not funny or entertaining in any real way to me.
You didn't watch Bozo the Clown growing up at all?
Yeah, I did, and he was creepy. He was so creepy that The Simpsons made a giant parody of it.
I like that. I like to imagine that in your household, your mom was like, oh, Patty, you calm down and you're going to watch some Bozo. She's like, no.
Anything but that.
Don't turn on WGN, please. She's like, that's it. Channel 5's a coming. You're like, no.
The Superstation.
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So your theory is that clowns are just so obnoxious that everybody quit going, and so the circus is dying.
Right.
Okay. Sure.
That's all I got.
All right. Should I share? I won't. Yeah, I will. I had a personal...
We're already here.
Yeah, we're here. I had a personally traumatic experience at the circus once. True story. It affected my professional life for years, and I'm not BSing. This is true. So back in the day, way back when, I was the DJ at Top 40 station. Yes, that was me. And the circus came to Greenville, South Carolina. And I was told that I would go with Tim Waller of News 4, WYFF, and he and I would be introducing the circus. Okay, easy enough. They hand you a mic, you read a card, you introduce the circus, you go sit down. So we show up.
Was this Ringling Brothers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this was the big show.
It was a big show. Sold out crowd, man. The Byler Center at the time held 16,000 people, right? So you got all these people in there waiting on the circus to start. And we're going to introduce it. We're going to get to introduce it. And I'm pretty excited. And we show up. And literally, a clown walks up. He's like, you guys ready? And I say,
Did he say it just like that?
oh, yeah.
Was he like Krusty the Clown?
A little bit.
Hey, you guys ready?
It's pitch black. Yeah. Pitch black.
Puts a cigarette out in his palm of his hand.
Let's do this crap.
Let's go make these kids laugh.
Even though we hate them. He says, you guys ready? Yeah. And we start walking towards the spotlight. There's a single spotlight shining in the middle of the floor. We should have Tim Waller on and see if he remembers this story. And we get out, and as we're walking, I say, hey, what are we supposed to say? And he goes, just talk about circus, man. And I go, okay, how much time do we have to fill? About 5 minutes. And I go, what? And he goes, about 5 minutes. Okay. So we get out there, and I'm thinking,
Real quick, though.
Yeah.
What do you know about the circus at this point?
right, you ready? I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, go.
Done.
Okay.
I didn't know anything. I've been in a circus maybe once in my life. So we end up in the middle of the floor of the Bilo Center, and I'm looking at all these people, and I'm like, what the heck are we going to talk about? And of course, Tim grabs the mic, and he's just the consummate professional TV broadcaster. And so I start kind of zoning out. I'm like, well, Tim's going to carry the water here. And he goes, and with me to my left. And I went by the name Silas at the time, because when I got hired on at the radio station, there were literally 3 other Chris's on the air already. And the boss was like, just find a different name that you like and use that, because you just can't be Chris. It won't work to have 4 Chris's. It'll always sound like there's a Chris on the air. Okay. So I went by Silas, and he goes, Silas is here, and he's going to tell you what he's excited about the circus. And I go, yeah. So thanks for coming. Thanks for listening to B93.7. Hope you guys enjoy the show. I'm sure it's going to be really cool and fun, and some variant of that. And I'm like, oddly, I asked if Tim and I could swing in from the trapeze tonight to start this thing, and they said no. And I think it's because Tim was a little scared, and they could tell. And I'm like, I'm trying to fill time, and people are looking at me. And I'm like, but anyway, it's the greatest show on earth. It's going to be a really good time. Hope you're ready to enjoy yourselves, ready to laugh, be excited. And we're so grateful you came out to the circus. Thanks for listening to B93.7. Thanks for watching News Channel 4. And I hand him the mic back thinking he'll come with me and we'll walk away. And he goes into chapter 2, man. And he's like, all right, well, one of my favorite memories about the circus. And he goes, whatever. And I was like, no. And so here's where it got traumatic.
He wasn't ready.
Right. And it's not his fault in any way. But legitimately, he's yapping, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, all right, man, well, whatever, wrap it up. And he goes, Silas, what else you want to add? And he hands me the mic. And I grab the mic from him, and I go, nothing. And he's like, oh. And then he just starts talking, because we're waiting for a signal. We're waiting for them to tell us, get out of the way. Like, that guy was supposed to come back and give us a little wave, and he was nowhere to be found. So poor Tim had to carry the water, do the thing. But I mean, I didn't know then, and I don't know how now.
Clown had to go finish his scotch off before he could start the show.
Yes, so man, we got done there, and I was so embarrassed and so just shell shocked by it. I mean, I've been doing radio probably about 2 years at that point, and maybe the biggest crowd would be at a community event of some sort where you got a couple thousand people. And I'm telling you, for a very, very, very long time, I had trouble in front of people, because I got really afraid I wouldn't have something to say on the subject matter. I would have no clue what to say about Welcome to Wild Wings. Thanks for coming out. $2 shots at the bar. For some reason, that bothered me. But I regained my footing. But that was my traumatic. That's what I think of every time people say circus. I think, yeah, I hate the circus, and here's why. But that was it.
So you're basking in the fact that it's no more than.
You don't have
to lie. No. You don't have to lie to me.
I don't want all those people to lose their job. Just the clown that made me feel for 5 minutes. That's it. As long as he lost his job, I'm cool. We're even. All right. On all the socials. Felt Recoil Show. Find us. Instagram, we're very active. Facebook as well. Thanks for hanging out. As always, we love you. See you next time.